I was trembling. Like literally, the dirty utensils shaking in my hands as I cleaned them under the freezing water. Surprisingly, Landon didn't scold me or punish me after that small accident. But I guess that is because he was very busy in today's meeting. My mate's gray eyes make a shiver run down my spine, and I move my head, trying to forget about him. But who was I kidding? My mate was no ordinary man. He was the werewolf king. King Vulcan, Knight. Gulping, I clean the sweat on my forehead with my sleeve and place the last utensil in the utensil tray. Done with my today's work. Sighing, I look up at the full moon, wondering what will my future hold. He already hates me. I saw it in his eyes. He thinks I have betrayed him. If only he knew the truth. My mate is going to reject me. This was the harsh reality. Every she-wolves fear this, and mine was just going to become true. There is no escape from this place. Now, I guess I have to die here as well, being a slave to that bastard. All my life, pleasing him till I forget myself. My thoughts were interrupted when I felt a strong gust of wind hit me, his tempting scent lingering with it. Knowing what it meant, I stood up, trying to pull down this useless skirt which was really uncomfortable. I look around to sense him, when my eyes stop at a silhouette near a tree, his back leaning against it, and hands crossed in front of his chest. I gulp. Moving closer, I already know why he was here. No man will accept a used mate. He was not going to be an exception. Alpha. King, you needed something. You should have sent someone for it, I say, bowing down in respect. He was a powerful man, the most powerful man in our kingdom instead. And Omegas like me are killed for even making eye contact with him. He didn't say anything, but his stare remained, making a strange feeling to erupt in my insides. Let me know if I can help you. Do you need— Shut up, he says, making my trap to shut and mine to freeze. Goosebumps appear on my skin, and I bite my lips, scolding myself for blabbering in front of him. He stares again, and the silence stretches, making my anxiety to increase with every second. Few minutes later, he straightens his back and stands up, making his way towards me. My eyes remain rooted to the ground. As he steps closer, the storm of anxiety in my chest, thrashing. Have you fucked him? He asks, and my heart stops. My widened eyes look up at his cold gray eyes, and I forgot to breathe for few seconds. So direct. How do I answer this? Yes, I have, but not willingly. He blackmailed me. Few times. But I didn't. I stutter to only make his jaw to harden. He closeness plays with my brain, my body aching for him to touch me. Shit. What was happening to me? And then I remembered it was a full moon today. The mate bond is the strongest. Yes or no? He commands and I lower my stare. Why? I wanted to explain. I thought he will trust me. If not, at least give me a chance. Yes, I say, and I see his fist clench. I step back afraid I will be a target of it. He again doesn't say anything for a minute, making my legs to loose their strength and my wolf to cry in my mind. She was already very weak. She can die if he rejects me. What can I do to save her? I waited 26 years for you, not even touching a woman, fearing I will be betraying you. Yet you couldn't save yourself for me, he says, and I am surprised. It is very rare. Men's instincts are way stronger than women, and I have never heard of any man controlling his urges and saving his first for his mate. Yet, he did it. But for whom? For me. For someone who has lost her everything in this life, except for her indomitable will to survive. I am sorry. He raises his hand again, not letting me explain, but even if I speak, I won't be able to tell him the full truth. Do you love him? He asks, and my mouth opens in surprise. Is he serious? Which mate asks another if they love someone else. I can see he is stopping himself, or I would have been already rejected by him before this conversation. Yet you kiss him back. Yet you don't stop him from kissing you. I gulp, moving my head in a no as he steps closer to me. Fear entering my mind as the aura around him hits me. Alpha. King, please. Yet you sit in his lap, wearing these slutty clothes, and let him kiss these lips. My back hits a tree bark and his eyes change colors. Placing my hands in front of me, I shiver. Please. Tell me. Is he the only one, or do you love doing this with others when you are in heat? How many bastards have touched what only belonged to me? Calm down, Alpha. Please. Tell me. He slams the tree bark on my either side, and I flinch in fear, his arms imprisoning me as he moves his face closer. His breath hits my lips as his eyes are pools of hatred, shifting between gray and black, trying to get back his lost control. I breathe heavily, unable to hold it in any longer. Tears run down my eyes as I close them. Done with all this. I should have known this. He is an alpha. It would be a blessing if he doesn't kill me after this betrayal. Just reject. Meh. I manage to whisper in my shaking voice, my lips wobbling and the saltness of my tears edible to my lips. He freezes at my words, but I refuse to open my eyes. I don't want to see the hated in them. I have seen enough in my life. Not his as well. Let him just reject me and get this over with. My breathing hitched as I felt a soft touch on my lip, to only realize that I was biting it hard to draw blood from it. I opened my eyes to see his gray orbs fixed on my lip, his thumb touching my lip to bring it out of the assault. I will, he says, and my wolf whines in my mind. Not ready to die so young. I am sorry. I wish you would have found someone else. But, he continues, making my teary eyes to look back at him. After I have showed you how much your betrayal has hurted me. After I have returned 100 times of what you gave me. His hands move lower to rest on my waist and the tingles. Make a warmness to spread inside me. After I have made you to beg me to touch you, and after I have replaced you, my eyes widen, and the warmness inside me freezes. The butterflies in my stomach die down as I look in those beautiful orbs in helplessness. No, he can't. I have already suffered so much. Please, no. And that is when his lips crash on me and my body is pushed back on the tree bark to experience what they call a kiss of true love. If only it was of love and not coated by hate. If only I was truthful and I hadn't betrayed. Landon stares at the Alpha King sitting in front of him, confusion evident in his eyes as he dares to question him again. My apologies, Alpha King, but did I hear you right? You want to take that Omega along with you. Vulcan just stares at him harder. His words an evidence to his irritation. Yes, the girl is to come with me, and in exchange, you will be given the tender to the Redwood territory. Landon couldn't believe this. Thora was a used and broken pathetic Omega of his pack. What could a powerful man like him had to do with her? The offer sounds quite attractive, Alpha King. But may I know why? Vulcan clenches his fist, not happy with him questioning him, but he can't tell anyone she is his mate. He was ashamed to be honest. She has a really foul mouth. You know I don't take disrespect lightly, yet she dares to disrespect me. I will deal with her, my way and my territory. Landon was not finding this hard to believe. Thora can be feisty and rude at times. Her foul language very well versed to him. My apologies, Alpha King. This girl's audacity. I can punish her if you say, no need. I will take care of it myself. Landon nods, giving him an apologetic smile. I agree, Alpha King. This is a really great deal you offer. You can take her in exchange. An Omega like her is of not much use to me anyways. Vulcan nods, getting up and leaving. While Landon smiles to himself, he will surely miss her, but she could be easily replaced. And anyways, he was already bored of the pathetic girl. That has been nothing but a burden since the day she was brought to his pack to take care. An unnecessary baggage. He was relieved to get rid of. Thora, pay. I sit in a luxurious car which could fit a dozen of people. Yet we both sit alone. He sits in front of me, busy with some work on his laptop. Not even once looking at me. Not that I wanted him to stare at me, but the way I was sitting directly in front of him, clothed yet exposed to his scrutiny, made awkwardness and uneasiness to stretch between us. Bored, I looked down at my hands tied with a rope, the very proof of him not trusting me or respecting me in any manner. I wriggle trying to loosen it, but it only results in red marks on my wrist. I won't be leaving. Please, can you open this? I ask, and his fingers stop typing. Those stormy gray eyes look up at me, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Why was this man so scary? Not replying, he continues typing again. And I sigh, my eyes shifting to the view outside, and I push myself closer to the window. Wow, it was so beautiful. I have never been out of my pack territory. I was not allowed to. And the roads, the trees, the houses, they all looked so intriguing to me. If only I could feel the wind on my face and take out my hand to feel it, biting my lip. I stare at the button. Can I? Will he scold me? But he looks busy. Pressing the button, I let the window roll down, and before he could scold me, I place my elbows on the sill and lift myself up. The cold wind hits my face, making a smile to come on my lips, and my hair trail behind me, flying with the wind. Wow, this was heaven, but the heaven was short-lived, as I was pulled back to hell. I looked at my side to see, my long hair were touching his face, and he looked beyond irritated. He moved his hand forward, grabbing my waist as I scream at him. No. Please. Let me. My force and pleas were no use, as I was harshly pulled back from my waist to land on his lap. I again struggled to only have him coil his arm around my waist and turn up the window with his other hand. No, please. Fuck. Stop, women. Stop it. He curses behind me, his breath hitting my ears, making a warmness to spread inside me. It is beautiful. Please. I again try to only have his grip to tighten on my waist, my back against his chest as I breathe heavily. Are you a dog? Sit here silently, he says, and I feel frustrated. Why such words? I just wanted to look outside. He hates you, Thora. What do you expect? He will hate everything you do as well. We continue to sit like this, and the tingles start exploding. His scent overpowering, making me hold my breath, when suddenly I was pushed to the seat next to him, harshly, like my touch just burned him. Because of my hands being tied, my head hits the headrest of the seat, and a slight pain hits my skull. He doesn't move. Not bothered. While I wringle, trying to adjust on my seat, he again goes back to typing, and I just stare outside in longing. I was going away from the prison Landon. Kept me in. I just hope he would be better than him. He hates me, but I can see. Maybe he still feels something for me. The tingles. The warmness that I am feeling, he must be feeling it too. I have a chance. A chance to show I can be loyal to him. That I can love him like mates are supposed to. And I won't let it go waste. I will try to win him back no matter what it takes. What is your name? He asks suddenly, breaking me from the chain of my thoughts. I thought he must have asked someone till now. But it seems he didn't care to even know his mate's name. Thora, I answer, still looking outside, when he suddenly slams his laptop shut and the aura around him changed drastically. He was angry. Look at me when I ask you something. I gulp, adjusting myself on the seat and turning my neck to look at him. His gray eyes were boring holes into me. Full name, pack of birth, and parents' name. He asks, and I lower my eyes. He will hate me more. I know it already. After all, I was a nobody. I don't know, I say, staring at my hands as he turns to give me his full attention. What do you mean, you don't know? Did you fall from the sky or what? He asks, irritated. I was found near the river by Landon's mother. I am an orphan. Silence. He just stares and then sighs, running his hand through his thick locks that have managed to fall on his forehead. See, Thora, let me get few things straight before we enter my borders. I shyly nod, knowing things were going to go bad from here. First, no one, I repeat, no one is to know that you are my destined mate. He was ashamed of telling them. I know. Shit. Why I am feeling so hurt. 2. You are to follow my orders, no matter what. I ask you to come. You come. I ask you to leave. You fucking do without questioning. No ifs and buts or you will be punished just like others. I nod again, looking down. I will try my best to be the perfect mate. I will change his perspective of me. And 3. He goes silent. And I look up at him from below my eyelashes. Why? Did he stop? His eyes took me from top to bottom, from my legs to my face, and I feel suffocated. His features cover in disgust, and I prepare for the worst. If I see you flirting around with my men, I swear on Moon Goddess Thora, I will first kill you before I kill him. Am I understood? I gulp. His words made me shiver. YEES Alpha, I say, and before I know, my chin is roughly grabbed and he pulls up my face. My widened brown eyes met his cold gray ones as he utters, with pure hated, I said, look at me and answer. Do I have to remind this the hard way? I move my head in a no and he leaves my chin. Sitting back on his seat and adjusting his tuxedo, I take a deep breath. Tears stinging my eyes. So much hatred. How will I teach him to love me? What does it take to amend for one's mistakes? Clean your tears. We are approaching, he orders, and I look up to see a castle welcoming us. I use my shoulder sleeve to clean the traces of tears in my eyes as I took in the beauty of the place through my hazy vision. The Vulcan Empire. Read a big stone inscription on the entrance. And I feel my heart drop in the pit of my stomach. The car door is open for him, and he proceeds inside while I struggle to open my side of door with tied hands. Failing. I scoot and come out from his side instead, breathing heavily to find him near the entrance already. Shit, why is he so fast? Before I call him to stop, the doors open, and my mouth opens in shock. The castle was humongous, a line of fountains welcoming with small bushes perfectly trimmed, a broad pathway laid towards inside. And when I looked up, I almost stumbled on my feet. Damn! I have never seen something so beautiful. This place was like a palace I only saw in books, and he was like the prince. But sadly, I was no princess. I can never be. Coming back to reality, I saw men surrounding him like bees. Following him, as he barely says anything, I increase my pace, trying to catch up with him, but he was already near the castle. Maids line on either side, bowing to him, and I blush when I see them bowing when I approach them as well. I bow them in return, giving them a small smile. My scared eyes stare at his back, hoping for him to slow down, unaware of the step below my feet, and I stumble on it. A small scream leaving my lips as I land on the hard pavement. My hands being tied couldn't break it, and my elbows take the harsh fall. Oh, come on, Thora. That was so embarrassing. I feel ashamed of my own stupidness as I look up to see he has stopped and has turned around to look at me. I gulp as he just stares, and the men following him take notice of me as well. Getting so much attention made me veil my face behind my hair as I breathe heavily. Trying to calm myself, he doesn't come to pick me up, just stares at me, struggling to get up and fall again. The maids hurried to pick me up, and I thanked them, my cheeks burning in shame as everyone stared. "Are you fine, miss?" they ask, and I just nod when I look up to meet his stormy gray eyes. He says something to the man next to him while staring at me. The man nods and stays, while with one last look, he turns around and leaves. "Miss, you are hurt. Come, I will take you to the infirmary," one of the girls says with a polite smile, and I stare at the wound on my elbow. Blood was dripping, and I could see my healing powers were weakening. I was no better than a human. Why was I so weak? The man Vulcan just ordered approaches us, and thankfully removes the rope from my wrist. I thank him, while he just asks me to follow him. Yeah, it has been 2 days, and I haven't seen him even once. I was taken to the maids' quarters after that day, and one of the head maids, Rain, explained me the tasks I have to do every day. I was cooking the packed dinner when the other maids were discussing about him. I couldn't help listen to their conversation. "Did you hear what the council announced yesterday?" "No. What is it?" "The annual ball for choosing the queen is to be held next week. That is every year's story, Nat. Like every year, the king will again reject the proposition. He is still searching for his destined one. Ah, that is the big news, girl. The king he himself accepted it this time. He is ready to select another she-wolf as his queen. But what about his mate? Wasn't he searching for her all these years?" "He was. But the rumor said he told the council that his mate is dead. That was it." She felt a pang in her chest, and a teardrop leaves her eyes. She was kneading the dough, with downcasted eyes, their each word like salt on her fresh wounds. "Dead? Really? That is bad. But there is no doubt in this, that the chosen one will be a lucky girl indeed. Imagine a man of his standing as your mate, and on top of that not a man-war, like those other males in Heat. He actually waited for her for 26 years. Where do you find males like him? But what a tragedy. The girl is dead. She would have been so lucky. I bet it will be Princess Charlotte of Eastern Pack now. She is the most deserving candidate, and an egoistic bit as well," the other said, making them both to chuckle. While I looked down at the dough, my teardrops have ruined it completely. I have to do it again. Keeping it aside, I just rush out from there. Listening to them saying behind me, "What is wrong with the weirdo? Isn't this the very reason we call her a weirdo?" And they again chuckled at this. Weirdo. This was my new name here. Not their fault though. I was weird anyways. Not talking to anyone, not speaking anything except yes or no, busy with a notebook and pen in my hands, scribbling something every day. To go back to sleep in my quarters while others gossiped and enjoyed. I was weird. So it is fine. Rushing in my quarters, I close the door and slide down the wall, letting out the tears fully. Why? Why did I have to get a fate like this? Rejection would have been better. But all of them talking about my death when I was here breathing broke me. Is this how much he hated me? That he wanted me dead? No. I have to face him. I have to ask him. I have to try, at least. He can't choose someone over me like this. When I am alive, he will actually have to kill me to reach there. With newfound determination, I get up cleaning my tears. It is 5:20. In 10 minutes, his evening tea will be taken to him. I have to make sure I get it to his chambers. Going back into the kitchen, I see one of the maids preparing the tray and I hold it for her. Let me take it. She just sighs, calling me a weirdo, but not stopping me. Placing the cup, she shows me the staircase. 3rd floor, 2nd door to your right. I knew it already, but I just nod at her and rush out of the kitchen, determined to ask for answers. Knocking on the door, I hear a low come in, and I gulp before entering. Opening the door, I see him sitting there on his table, his tuxedo hanging on the seat behind, tie laying in a corner. While the sleeves of his shirt rolled up, I feel his stare on me, and my hands start trembling, the teacups clinking as I approach him and place the tray on the table. "Sir, your tea," I manage to say, but his cold stare doesn't soften. Instead, his next words made nervousness to kick in. "I don't remember asking you to get it. Is this how much he hated seeing me?" Lowering my eyes, I stare at my bell flats instead, feeling bothered by his intense stare. I wanted to talk to you," I say, to be only hit by his powerful aura as he straightens his back, and his eyes bore holes into my skull. "Did I give you the permission to speak?" My body nearly trembled at his rude words, his dominance making me scared like a little lamb, going to be slaughtered. Moving my head in a no, I refused to look up at him. "Pour me a cup of tea," was his next command, and I couldn't help oblige, my hands trembling as I lift the kettle to pour its contents into the cup. He just stares at my pathetic self, and trust me, I haven't felt so weak and vulnerable before. Landon has broken me completely from the inside, and even if I try not showing it, I feel it will my soul trembling. Offering him the cup, I try my best to keep my grip steady. Thankfully, he takes it from my hands and the clinking of ceramic cups ceases, making me a bit relaxed. His fingers not touching me, of course. Why will he? "He is disgusted of you. Don't you remember?" He doesn't say anything for next few minutes, and I stand there awkwardly, aware of his eyes on me every few seconds. But I couldn't dare look up. "Come here," he says suddenly, pushing back his chair and pointing to the place next to his seat. I go there reluctantly, on small clumsy steps, staggering. I am hit with his rain and pinewood cologne as soon as I step in his vicinity, making me hold my breath to stop my wolf from going crazy. Hands Behind you back, he says, and I couldn't help oblige. It was a symbol of respect. So why not? Now, kneel. This time, my eyes met his gray stormy ones. I was afraid. There was nothing but coldness, and it froze me completely. Why does he want me to kneel? Will he? I won't be repeating. And I slide down, in no mood to aggravate his anger further. My knees hitting the carpet floor and eyes fixed at the floor. I feel him moving his chair closer to me. His legs coming on my either side, making anxiety to kick in. Now lift your chin and look up at me. His voice sent shivers down my spine. My hands clenched behind my back. Not even once did he touch me, but the wetness below made me ashamed of myself. I couldn't control it. My wolf enjoyed listening to her mate's commanding voice. It was all her doing. I look up finally, to only hate myself more. His eyes, they showed how much he hated me. My sight alone disgusting for me. Now, he says, moving his face closer to me. His breath hitting my lips as he sniffs me suddenly. Speak. By sniffing, he was making sure that no other male has been near me. Once assured, he looks down at me, urging me to continue. You told the council that I am dead. I asked directly, to see nothing in those emotionless eyes. Just a mere, As he closes his eyes and sniffs me again, my neck this time. His breath hitting my neck, making the tingles to explode and the sensation between my legs to worsen. What else would you have preferred? Perhaps me telling the council that my mate is a who. I couldn't hold it. A tear leaves my eyes and he smiles, mocking what he thought was fake innocence. I can smell it. So stop with this fake charade of innocence. He grips my chin suddenly, pushing it up and making my breathing to stop and heart to thud in my chest. My teary eyes met his hatred-filled ones as he seethes at me. And go prepare for the selection of your future queen. You will be her personal maid. I gulp, more tears leaving my eyes. The tingles burning me, leaving his grip on my chin. He looks at me in disgust one last time before he turns around his seat and gets back to work. You may leave. I didn't waste a second, stumbling back on the carpet, down at his feet, getting up and sprinting from there, tears running down my eyes as I saw myself in his eyes today. I was no one for him, just a maid, just a useless girl who he hates more than anything. I was a fool to think I can make him love me, when I myself hated my very own self. I hated my weak self, my weak wolf, and my helpless self. If only she knew, she was anything but weak, born as a mystery. The blood in her veins was the strongest in centuries, and only time will tell how she was indeed born to rewrite history. She stares at the kids playing, her dirty sneakers covered in mud, a loose sweatshirt, and worn-out jeans covering her, as she tries stopping the tears falling down her eyes. Nose red and eyes puffy, but no one cared. The screams of children around, making her feel like she was surrounded, when in reality, she knew she was alone. Always. Using her loose sweatshirt to clear her tears, she folds her arms on her knees and lowers her head on it. She doesn't remember how long she stayed like that when she feels a tap on her shoulder, and she looks up. Are you lonely? A small girl with big blue eyes looks at her in worry, making a small smile to leave her lips. No, dear. You all are with me, aren't you? I ask, and she moves her head in a no, sitting beside her. Number, they all are bad. They are not my friends, the girl says, and Thora couldn't help stare at her. The little girl was beautiful, but she looked so sad. just like her. Why? They say I can't play with them. My uncle doesn't let me play with them. He will scold me. Thora doesn't quite understand what her situation was like. Why will someone stop a child from playing? The doctors. They say I am sick. If I get hurt, I don't heal. You are a human, Thora asked, trying to guess what it was. When the girl moves her head in a no. Number. I am werewolf, but I am sick. Moon gods hates me. So she made me sick. She plays with the hem of her dress, and Thora couldn't help it. Tapping her lap, she urges the girl to sit there. The girl obliges, sitting in her lap to look up at her, with her big blue eyes. What is you name? Sweetheart. Elora. Thora smiles, patting her head, loving her silken locks. Moon goddess doesn't hate you, Elora. Instead, you are her favorite. The girl moves her head. In no, looking down. No. You are lying. She hates me. She made you special. She made you fighter. She believed you will win, so she gave you her best fights. This got the little girl's curiosity. Why? She wanted me to fight. Yes. You know Elora, who are the strongest in this world, who rise despite facing all the fights, who don't let a little sickness to get in their way. Moon goddess is very busy. She can't fight all battles herself, so she decided to give one of her battles to one of her strongest children. She chose it for someone very special, for a girl she believed in, and that is when the little girl's eyes widen. Is that girl? Me? Thora nods, making a bright smile to come on the girl's lips. She looks at her hands, and then suddenly back at Thora, her next question something Thora never thought would come from a 10-year-old's lips. Then, if Moon Goddess is for real, is the story of the death wolf also true? Thora's eyebrows furrow in confusion. She hasn't heard of it before. The Death wolf. Yes, haven't you heard his story? Uncle always narrates it to me at night. Everyone says he is bad, but for me he is my hero. Thora couldn't understand. Why hasn't she heard of this name before? But she can't blame anyone. Her life has been nothing less than a nightmare till now. Who is he? The little girl's eyes shine in excitement. But before she could say something, a voice calls from behind. Princess Elora, we were searching for you everywhere. They look up to see 3 maids coming their way. Princess? I refuse to go back. I have made a friend today. The little girl announces in confidence, and Thora couldn't help bow at them in acknowledgement. To which they barely nod, taking their attention back to the little girl. Princess Elora, your uncle is really furious at your unannounced absence. He wishes to see you. The little girl sighs, dusting her clothes and getting up. Lifting up her chin, she turns around and says in an authoritative voice, well tried, because she was still very young. Tell him, I am coming. And with this, she turns around to leave, but not before looking at Thora one last time. And whispering in her ear, search, in the library, was all the girl says. Winking at her, and Thora couldn't help but smile back. She was too adorable. Tobey. Few days later. Sally, can I ask you something? Thora asks the old lady, who barely nods at while ticking the chores on a piece of paper. I happen to notice there are so many unmated females here. So, what do they do on the full moon? I mean, how do they survive the heat? Sally just chuckles, considering her question to be humorous. Aren't you too innocent? They satisfy it. What else? But they haven't found their mates. So, it doesn't has to be your mate to satisfy it. But what if the female doesn't want to? Sally sighs, placing her hands on her waist. Why are you asking me these questions? Girl, is your heat approaching? No, I was just curious. Keep your curiosity in check, stupid girl. Go and do your work. She gulps and turns around to leave. And yes, answering your last question, those who don't wish to do it run. They run from unmated males the entire night, hiding their scent. Until the sun rise, Thora gulps, nodding and leaving, holding her stomach which was aching since morning. She wished it was stomach infection or just hunger, but who was she fooling? She met him few days ago, and everyone knows. The first time you meet your mate, you are hit with the strongest heat on the next full moon, strongest than you have ever felt it. And no way in hell will she stay in the pack house and let unmated males flock around her, trying to force themselves on her. She will die before she lets another man like Landon use her. So, she will run. Tonight, on the full moon, she will run till her legs take her. She will die, but she will not let any other man touch her other than her mate. She couldn't fight Landon back then because she was very young and innocent, too innocent to fall in his trap of sweet words and give herself to him. But now she will not let it repeat again. She will run till death. Bedenti. Vulcan stands at his balcony, his hands resting on the railing as he looks up at the moon, his grip on the railing tightening as he thinks about her. His mate. He would have accepted anything, ugly, weak, rogue, omega, anything, but a betrayer, a she-wolf who has fucked someone else other than him. Never. He would have laid this world at her feet, showered her with love and everything any she-wolf ever desires for. If only she had waited for him. Her innocent-looking brown eyes come in front of his eyes. The earlier scene of her kneeling in front of him. He didn't wanted to disrespect her like that. But yes, he did intended to hurt her and make her realize that there was no hope of him accepting her. Ever. And he was successful in it. He saw the light of hope being crushed from her eyes when he told her to prepare for his queen. The queen, which she was supposed to be. His thoughts are interrupted by his wolf thrashing in his mind. And he knew already what it was, staring back at the full moon. He could smell the scent of her heat, and oh boy, wasn't it addicting. But he was not a young pup. He was the werewolf king now, and he mastered over his control. Tonight his mate was going to mate with some other male, and he was going to do nothing about it. He will just wait and watch, making his hate to rise for her even more, so that he can finally reject her, so that his wolf agrees with rejecting her. Tonight was the night he will smell her addicting cherry blossom fragrance intermix with another bastard's. And he will just sit here and stare at the moon, numbing his pains with a little alcohol in his veins. Let the heat begin. The first wave of heat hits me and I curse. Rushing outside in the open, the cold winds hit the beads of sweat covering my forehead, giving me a temporary relief. While I clench my stomach, which was churning in pain, I have waited too long. Vulcan will not be coming. Shifting to my small brown wolf, which was the mere size of a fox, I rush out into the lush green garden, not caring about anything anymore, determined to reach the forest, my claws heavy and body staggering with pain. But I don't stop. It was do or die today. Merely 5 minutes into the forest, and the howls of wolves start echoing around me, making adrenaline to rush in my veins. Determination to save my virtue was unfathomable today, and I was going to prove it to him. Another wave hits, stronger this time, and I scream, my scent emerging around me like waves of pleasure. Hitting the unmated wolves, they growly again, and this time I could feel their heavy paws following. 2.3, or maybe more. I couldn't determine, too lost in just looking ahead and running. 2 minutes into the chase, and I could see them coming closer, baring their teeth at me like starved savages. My hinge legs were shaking with the amount of energy draining from my body. My snout running dry and vision blurring. Come on, you can't stop. Come on. I continue running. The borders finally become visible to me and a new hope rises in my chest. Yes, Thora, we can do it. It was not a good idea crossing Vulcan's borders, as rogues were worse than pack wolves. But still, this was the only way to loose the ones on my trail right now, and I could do anything for it. They were just a few feet away from me. When I leaps over the fenced borders, I feel the pointed wires on it slashing past my wolf belly. And I hold in a painful whine, not stopping. The growls echoed in a distance. Inside the borders, and I sigh in relief. I was safe. At least for now. Looking around, I find deadly forests surrounding me. It is silence suffocating. Yet my only solace. Looking up at the moon, a low painful whimper came from my wolf as she realized it was just 15 minutes into the heat and we still had the entire night ahead of us. My highlighted senses managed to hear running water nearby, and that is when a brilliant idea strikes my mind. The water ... it can cover scents. What if it can also cover heat to some extent? Plus, I was really thirsty. With tired limbs, I struggled to move towards the stream, wary of every little noise. Coming around me, 30 minutes into the rogue lands, and I seize it finally, a river flooding with water. Jumping into it, my wolf form immediately freezes under the BV temperature of the water, my brown coat darkening as my body shivered, but I didn't care. Instead, the slight fever in my body, due to the heat, got neutralized, and I could breathe finally, the numbing of my limbs calming me as I rested against a rock, letting the heavy waves hit me, washing away the blood on my wood, cleaning it. Even though it hurted a bit, the sound of waves clashing with the rocks made me forget everything. If only the night could pass so peacefully. If only I could stay here forever, in the womb of Mother Nature, away from the hatred-filled eyes of her mate, away from everyone that has ever hurted me. But I knew I can't survive alone. I wasn't strong enough. A she-wolf alone as a rogue will be killed, brutally in the worst way possible. No one will come to save me. I have tried escaping from London once, and the scars of that night still give me nightmares. Wet. Another hour passed, and once assured that it was safe here, I change into my human form. Shy, I curse again as it felt way colder. I thought of shifting again, but just a minute in the ice-cold water, and I was numb of everything. The cold no longer bothered. Water covered my naked form up to my chest, and my teeth cluttered with cold. But other than that, I was good, enduring. For what, you ask? For just one thing. To prove him. To prove Vulcan as to what extent I can go to save my virtue and respect. To prove him that my morals were not loose, as he thought. I know right now he can feel my heat, my sufferings. But I also knows that he is doing this deliberately. He said, he won't touch someone like me. And today, he just proved it. He didn't came to me to relieve me, to help me. So, I had to do it. I had to run. And now when I think a bit rationally about it, I know why he didn't came. He was waiting for me to mate with someone else tonight, so that his wolf can finally reject me, tagging me as impure, as a betrayer. When a human rejects his mate, it is common that their wolf counterpart hates him for doing it. But when a wolf rejects his mate, the bond between the human and his wolf remains the strongest. He didn't reject me earlier at Landon's pack because that was him. But tonight at the full moon, on my first heat, he wanted his wolf to reject me. A tear leaves my eyes at the very thought. How stupid I was to think that he would one day forgive me. He already wanted to get rid of me by allowing any random unmated wolf to mate with me. He didn't care about what would happen to me. He will never come to save my honor. Why will he? When he already considers me of loose character. I couldn't help but cry, staring at the full moon. I let the wet tears to slide down my chin and mix with the icy water. This is our fate, Thora, and we have to live with it. Closing my eyes, I don't know when my brain started freezing with my body. My limbs felt too heavy to move, as another painful whimper left my lips. I tried getting up to get out of the water, but I couldn't move my body anymore. How long have I stayed like this? Panic hits my inside as I struggled trying to thrash against the current flow to only fall back at the rock on which I held. And that is when I realized the water flow has increased drastically, where it earlier reached my chest. It was up to my chin now. Afraid, I struggled and thrashed more, to only feel my legs moving. I finally move to get out of water. When my footsteps freeze, I feel something very odd around me. The aura darkening and deadly, and that is when I look around. A pair of yellow eyes stared at me through the bushes, and I felt my heart thudding rapidly in my chest. Gulping, I moved back into the water to lean back against the same rock. No, this can't be happening. How did? I heard another low snarl from behind me, and that is when all hopes of leaving from here alive died. Turning around, I see another pair of yellow eyes, and another, and another. There were around 15 pairs of yellow eyes staring at me through the bushes, surrounding me, and trapping me. No, please, no. I begged through my frozen lips and cluttering teeth to only hear their snarls in return. Stepping closer, they move out of the shadows, and that is when I see them clearly. 15 vicious rogues snarled at me, while taking small predator steps towards me. Surrounding me, they trapped me from all sides, leaving no means of escape. My body shivered as I saw the color of their eyes changing. From yellow, the blood red, showing only one emotion that scared the she out of me and my weak wolf: hunger and fervor. The archaic name of the word that blinds everyone's senses and makes all of us descendants of animals. Lust. I gulp, looking back at the running stream, and that is when I knew I have to make a choice. Death was inevitable tonight, but from whose hands? That was what I will decide. Changing back into my wolf form, I growl at them as loud I could, making it echo in the silent forest. Looking up at the full moon, I was ready to lay in the lap of Mother Nature forever. A teardrop leaves my eyes, thinking about my useless existence till now, and that is when I turn my back on the wolves and again growl at them, daring them to move forward. They don't stop, though. Moving closer, they growl back, asking me to stop. When I finally do it, I jump. Death. It is not that easy as it seems. At least not how I thought it to be. My numb body was thrashing against the current of the water, my lungs protesting and whines leaving my wolf, but I couldn't escape it. The thrust of the water much stronger than my weak limbs. Water gushed into my snout, and my wolf form hits random rocks, making a cracking sound to be audible to my ears. It seems I will be broken beyond repair. If that was not enough of a nightmare, imagine the very reason I jumped into the water was still there. The rogues, they were crazy and blind enough to jump into the water behind me, and were now baring their teeth at me. One of them just near my hind leg, and next I know, he grabbed it in its deadly jaw, making a sharp, helpless yelp to leave my lips. Please. Not like this, moon gods. Not like this. The other rogue joined him, holding my other hind leg when our bodies hit another big rock. Too desperate to save myself, my wolf form is able to hold onto the big rock, whimpering and whining, trying to wriggle out of the grip of two rogues. I try moving my legs, but they were locked in their snouts, making my half-body fur down below to be covered red in color of blood. Tears of helplessness leave my eyes as my body enters into a state of shock. The eyes of those rogues looked like my death, and I thought of surrendering myself. The current of water, not bothering them as they were ready to devour their prey. One of them tears apart a chunk of my flesh on my hind leg, and I growl lowly at him. Instead of loosening their grip, they both instead growling at me loudly, moving up towards my neck. My wolf whimpered this time, thrashing weakly, their red eyes staring, enjoying my vulnerability. One of them bared their teeth near my neck, while the other sniffed it. I left my grip on the rock, hoping to be carried with the current. When they stand over my weak wolf, locking me on the rock behind, under their big frame, not letting my escape. This was it. My end. This is how I was going to die today. I saw the full moon above, with tears leaving my eyes, and I finally did it. I surrendered to a brutal death. With a low whine, I move my head to a side in submission. And that is when their growling ceased. This is what they wanted. And now I gave it them, waiting for them to plunge their canines into my neck. Any second, I waited, but it didn't came. Has wet he suas. Instead, I heard a loud, painful cry, and the rogues on top of me is thrown off me with a force that made him fly a few feet in the air to go crash with another rock behind. I look up to see a big jet black wolf standing on top of me, growling at the rogues, his growl loud enough to shake the very base of the rock on which we stood. His aura emitting power like I have never felt before, even making me scared of his presence. Before I could understand much, he lowers his snout to my level, making me state at his gray orbs. And that is when I knew who his wolf it was. Vulcan. His muzzle opens to grab onto my neck, and a low whimper left me. He doesn't mind it though, carrying me like a father wolf carries his pup, holding it up from his back. He lifts my small wounded and broken wolf form to jump onto the land and lay me down on it. Once assured that I was safe, he turns around to the other rogue, and that is when the fight begins. 10 seconds. I just counted till 10 seconds to see the rogues fall down dead. One's neck was teared apart from his body, while the other was bleeding to death. Pushing their dead bodies into the running water, Vulcans clears his snout of their blood to only turn around to approach me. I laid there, lifeless and still, just like he left me, my hind legs, wounded and useless, while my front legs too weak to move. I couldn't help just wail in pain as I just managed to move my boring, teary brown eyes to look at his cold gray ones, his paws hitting the ground, making fear to enter my body. But today, for the first time, more than fear, I felt relief flood my insides. For few seconds, he doesn't do anything, just standing there, starting at my bleeding form next to his feet. And then, a low angry growl rumbled from his chest, showing his disappointment in me, his resentment towards me for running away. When I was in heat, I couldn't help lower my gaze. And that is when he moves forward, assessing the damage. He sniffs me everywhere, circling around me, making me extremely comfortable. But I didn't dare move or snarl at him, his snout nudging on my hind leg, asking me to open it to show him my wound clearly. I do, reluctantly, letting him see me all weak and vulnerable, and that is when another growl emerges from him. My wolf form trembled under his rumble, and he seizes it immediately, his breath hitting the open wound on my leg, and next I know, he starts licking it, making an uncontrollable painful whimper to leave my wolf. My wolf tried closing his leg, feeling really uncomfortable with our mate licking us, to only have his huge claw to be placed on my paw instead stopping me. I, again, whined, and he growled loudly, scolding me for defying him. I left it, laying immobile, for him to tend to my injuries. Too weak to fight or even dare to defy him, he continues to lick for next few minutes, until the blood flow stopped. His presence alone, calming my heat, making my wolf to wish to snuggle in his huge frame and sleep peacefully in his warm embrace. But again, it was all a wishful thinking. He was saving me. But he didn't meant he wanted me. He hated me. Once done, he steps back, changing into his human form, and I immediately lower my eyes, feeling shy. He doesn't mind my presence, pulling out the shorts tied around his ankle. He wears them, looking down at me, his next words making me freeze all of a sudden and my ice-cold body to shiver more. Shift back. How can he? I am a woman. How can I shift in front of him? I don't want him to see me. All naked, I pull my legs together, forming into a ball, and lowly wail, to only make his eyes harden. Stepping closer, his deadly aura surrounds me, and my frail body tried to move back from him. Thrashing, his eyes darken, and next I know, he crouches down to my level. Moving his hand closer, he runs his fingers through my dusty fur, surprising me. He was gentle, and his touch soothing for once, making an involuntary moan to leave my lips. Fuck. I was still in heat. You have already caused enough trouble for me, little mate. Now shift back, if you want to reach back to the pack. Alive. I keep starting at his feet as my teeth cluttered with the cold. And then I finally nod. Good girl. With a final pat on my head, he gets up and throws his shirt on top of me. The soft fabric enveloping me in it is warmth immediately. He turns his back on me, and that is when I do it. Cracking of bones is heard, and a scream leaves my lips as I feel some of my rib bones broken, due to the impact in the water. Without wasting a second, I pick up his t-shirt with my shaky fingers and throw in over my head. It is length covering me up till my mid-thigh, making relief to flood in. I am done. I manage to stutter through my trembling lips, my pale cold fingers holding onto the fabric of his shirt tightly. He turns around and his eyes darken for a second to return back to their original grays. I was still in heat, and he can smell it clearly from me. But he doesn't let it control it. Moving closer, he stares at the big wound on my thigh. And he sighs, "The bastard tore through your skin to reach the tissues. It is going to take few days. How is your wolf at healing? I remain silent. How do I tell him I am no good than a human? He will hate me more. He doesn't say anything. Placing his one arm under my knees and the other under my back, he picks me up effortlessly. Our skins came in contact, and it sent a string of tingles till my spine. But neither of us show it, adjusting me comfortably in his arms. He walks down the deserted forest looking bothered and angry at something. I stare at his beautiful face while he looks in front. I move up my trembling fingers to trail his features, wishing to soften them. But how can I? When I was the reason behind it, lowering my hand, I lower my fingers, letting my arm lay limp to my side, closing me eyes. Few minutes into the forest, and I remain like that. His thudding heart, my only solace from the soul-numbing pains in my body. Try to stay awake, he orders, looking down at me, but I had no energy to look back at him or even reply, giving him no reaction. I feel his grip on me tightening and a long sigh to leave his lips. Proceeding to walk again, he whispers lowly to himself, and I wished I hadn't heard him. Why do I have to get a weak, pathetic mate like her? Were the last words I hear him say, as a last lone tear, leaves my eyes to trail down my cheek, with no more fight left in me. I welcome darkness in the arms of the man that loathed me with his everything. The heroine is currently facing a difficult situation and needs your support. Please leave your words of encouragement for her in the comments section. He stared at her, his eyes taking in her wounded thigh and the long claw marks on her stomach. And he couldn't help feel the anger run in his veins. How much he hated those filthy rogues. How dare they touch his mate with their filthy hands? Yes, he didn't like the girl, but those vulgar thoughts of those rogues about his mate, the ones he could hear clearly in his head, they made him tear apart their limbs to throw them into the running water. The girl's healing is slow, Your Majesty. The wound got infected, and her wolf is too weak to fight the fever. I have given the IV, but she will take more time to heal, the pack doctor said, and Vulcan merely sighs. Expecting this, hopefully, once the heat is over, the fever will come down on its own. With this, the doctor leaves, closing the door behind him, while Vulcan runs his hand through his hair, staring at the trouble laying on his bed. Damn man, he was thinking of getting over with the rejection today, to be free of this girl after this night forever. But see where this stupid girl brought them. Here, with her laying on his bed, all wounded, with a burning fever. Earlier, he thought she was plain stupid. But now he believed she was a psycho as well, who in their sane mind would go into a forest full of rogues on the day of their heat. Did she had a death wish, and not to forget, her jumping into a running river to escape them. He just stares at her peaceful face, trying to interpret the mysteries related to the girl. Thora Valentine, that is her real name. His wolf purring in his mind, hearing him say his mate's name. But that is it. There is going to be nothing more than this between them, and he will make sure of it. She has defied his rules today, and he will make sure to punish her once she wakes up, leveraging the freedom he gave her. It was time to teach her who is in control here. Vera Pav. I groaned in pain as I woke up, to feel myself lying on something soft and velvety. Looking around in surprise, I see myself covered in silken sheets, the room screaming luxury. Scared, I look down to see myself wearing a large, oversized shirt, the scent on it making it clear to whom it belonged. Gulping, I remember the last night's events, and I curse my fate. Hell, man. Why do I have to be so stupid? What were you thinking going into the forest, Vera? And see where it got us now. Here. Back in the stupid pack house. I hear the bathroom door opening, and what I saw made me open and close my mouth in surprise. Vulcan walks out in shorts, his torso naked, a towel around his neck as he dries his black hair with it while looking up at me for merely a second. Ignoring me, he stands in front of the mirror and continues to dry his hair. The reflection of his front and that tone's abs, making an uneasiness to settle in my stomach. And I look down, shyly, feeling my cheeks burning up, pulling up the comforter up to my chest. I just realized I was naked down below, wearing nothing at all, wet. What am I doing here? I manage to ask, and his hand stills. Those cold gray eyes stared at me from the mirror, like they wanted to kill me, and I flinch under his gaze, tightening my grip on the comforter, throwing away the towel. He steps towards me, and I try moving back, afraid of his anger. Standing beside my bed, he again just stares, making beads of sweat to appear on my forehead. Why are his eyes so beautiful, yet scary? What is he going to do to me? Rule number 2. Repeat it for me, he says, and it took me few seconds to interpret what he was saying. The thudding of my heart, distracting my brain from working properly. Speak, he roars this time, and I flinch back again. My hands shaking as I tried to remember what he said that day. We entered the Vulcan Empire. You asked me to do what, you said. Or else I will be puny, shit. I couldn't look back at him. I have broken the rule. He will hurt me, just like Landon. And did I tell you to leave yesterday? I hold the comforter for my only support, tears leaving my eyes without me controlling, my lips wobbling as I tried to speak. But nothing came out of my lips. Answer me. I again flinch under his tone, my lowered eyes staring at his fists that were clenching. Was he going to hurt me? I know. No, you didn't. He steps closer if possible, dipping his one knee in the mattress. I move back further, making my head hit the headboard behind. He doesn't stop. Placing his either hand on my head side, he moves his face closer to me. And what did I say happens when you disobey me? He raises his perfectly shaped eyebrow in anticipation. As I struggle to speak, I get punished. He blinks at this, his gray eyes staring back at my boring brown ones. As he breathes, his breath hitting my lips. Good. And just like that, he moves back, making a long-heeled breath to leave my lips. But who said it was over? The man was messing with my brain completely. Get up, came his next command as he opens his cupboard and pulls out a shirt. I follow his order this time, while making sure to lift the comforter with me. He looks back at me over his shoulder, his eyes stopping at the comforter held in my hands, trying to cover my legs. And they harden. Drop it. He referred to it, and I panicked. I said drop the damn comforter. And that is when the cloth slips from my fingers, dropping on the ground. My eyes lower in embarrassment, while he simply nods and proceeds towards the desk, gathering some sheets of paper, not looking back at me. I continue to stand there, shifting my weight from one leg to another, not knowing what to do. Slight pain enters my thigh as I look down at the bandages covering it. Blood visible on it. Now step forward and come here. He refers to the carpet, placed in the center of the room, and I walk towards it, wincing as pain entered my thighs whenever I tried moving in. What does he even plans to do? Is this his punishment? I thought he was better than Landon, but I guess I was wrong again. All male wolves are just one thing: controlling, bast. He steps towards me, eyes fixed at my face which was lowered in shyness. Stepping past me, he walks past me, and I couldn't help try pulling down his shirt, trying to cover my legs. Stop fidgeting. My hand stills, and I feel goosebumps on my skin. He was looking at me from behind. Shit! I still all of a sudden, now aware of his heated stare on my back. Clenching my fist, I hear some shuffling behind me, but I don't dare turn around. Silence stretches after that, to be only broken by his words that made my heart leap in my chest. Open up your legs. But what is he even doing? I was in heat yesterday. What if his wolf wanted to do it, forcing me number? I can't let that happen. No way. I try to turn around to only have him place his hand on my neck, from behind, making me still. My back hits his front, and I feel the tingles explode. Don't argue with me, girl. I have had enough of your disrespect. Now, do as I say. Gulping, I merely nod, feeling his breath near my ear. I widen my legs a bit, and his grip on my neck loosens. Trailing down his fingers, he moves them down my back, and I feel his touch leaving a trail of tingles and warmth. Wider, his voice sounding further than before, and that is when I feel his fingers near my thigh, making me jerk away from him suddenly. I whine in pain as my sudden movement made the wound to hurt more. His grip on my thigh tightening, as he roars from behind me, "Stay still, damn it! You are going to make it worse." And I oblige. Doing what he was saying, he will not hurt me. If he wanted to, he would have already hurted me. His fingers move over the bandage, and he starts untying it. His fingers brushing past my skin, making small tingles to spark. He doesn't speak anything after that. Once the bandage is fully removed, he left it like this for few minutes to go and search something in the drawer behind. I took this as an opportunity to look down and assess my injury, the depth of the wound making my mind go numb suddenly. The longer I stared, the worse I felt. I could feel something build inside me at the sight when I hear his cold voice behind me. "Look, in front." And I do. Closing my eyes, I couldn't see it anyways. I have been whipped and hurt before, but never like this. It was so deep that I thought I could see my bone below. Showman, it should hurt then. Why isn't it hurting? Is it because of the adrenaline of the here? It has to be. I scream when I felt something burn it, making tears to slide down my eyes. I found have definitely fallen down, if it wasn't his firm grip on my thigh and my back. It is the antiseptic, or the infection will make it worse. He tries to explain, and I just nod, my whole frame shivering under the mind-numbing pain. Leaving it after applying the medicine, he comes and crouches down in front of me, a bandage in his hand. As he starts wrapping it, he stops in between, sighing. "Place your foot here. I can't do it properly," he says, motioning to his knee, and I felt weird. The great werewolf king of the world, sitting in front of me near my feet, mending the wounds on my thigh, asking me to place my foot on his knee. Weird was a small world. I was ought to feel uncomfortable. I do reluctantly, looking down at him, his cold gray eyes not looking so cold today, a slight hue of warmness evident in them today. His hand adjusts my foot on his knee properly, and he continues to wrap the bandage after it. Once done, he holds my ankle gently and places it down, getting up with the antiseptic and medical stuff in his hand. "I have done the dressing. Don't put pressure on it, and just stay on the bed for the day," he says, motioning to his bed, and I just nod, feeling the warmness to spread on my face. His caring side was definitely something I never thought existed. This man is no doubt full of mysteries. He looks down at my stomach area, and I remember the wound that those wires left from yesterday. Taking my hand and placing a cream in my palm, he again says, "You can manage it there. I have to leave for a meeting." And with this, he turns around from me, leaving me flabbergasted. "But why are you doing this? You said you hated me." My question makes him stop and look back at me, the care in his eyes getting replaced by fury. "I will repeat rule number 2 for you again, for you don't seem to remember it in your pea-sized brain." Moving closer, he jerks my face up with his grip on my chin, my breath turning rugged. "You speak when I ask you to, and you keep your trap shut otherwise." "I am sorry. Now be a good girl. Rest on that bed while I ask someone to get you something to eat." I just lower my eyes and nod, making him move back. Picking up his tuxedo, he wears it, looking at me one last time before leaving. "And don't think you are forgiven for the stunt you pulled yesterday." I look at him in disbelief, his next words leaving my entire day restless after it. "You will be punished tonight." He returns back late at night. I was sleepy, but no fully asleep. Sensing his presence, I try to act to be asleep, to only hear his voice. "Stop the pretense." I gulp, cursing. Why are his senses so active? Lifting myself up, I meet his eyes to only see him seated on a sofa, with one leg placed on the other, his pose filled with dominance and authority, making me feel so small. "Hello," was all I could say shyly, as his heated gaze remains fixed at me. Folding his hands, he merely hems. "What were you thinking, going into the rogue during your heat?" I knew this question was coming, and I couldn't help clench the comforter tightly in my fingers. "I am sorry. Did I ask for your sorry?" "I asked you a question, stupid girl. Answer the question." I flinch and gulp the saliva caught in my throat, stuttering out the truth without thinking. "I thought I could survive the run. I didn't wanted to consummate with anyone." He just stares at me, making me feel so insignificant and helpless, his eyes boring holes right into my soul, trying to strip me naked of my self-respect. "Are you plainly stupid, or am I mated to an illiterate? Haven't you read what happens to females who go to rogue lands during their heat? I have heard. They are killed after being." I couldn't continue. He was literally scolding me, and my tears were already brimming. "After being what?" "Continue," he says, lowly, and I complete the sentence, looking down at my hands. "After being raped." Next I knows, my chin is grabbed by a strong grip, and my face is jerked up, my eyes locking with his angry orbs. "And did you wished a fate like that?" "Oh," I whispers, letting out the tears. He leaves my chin after few seconds, to make my head fall back down. More tears leave my eyes, to fall on the comforter in my hands. "I am really sorry. I waited for you. But you didn't came. My wolf was getting restless. She wanted to shift, so I did it. But I promise, I never wanted to trouble you. I am sorry for wasting your time. I didn't intend to really. Oh God, I am so stupid sometimes. I just do things." "Shush. No. I would have died today. You are right. If it wasn't for you, they would have rapped." "Shh." He places his finger on my lips, making my mouth to shut and eyes to widen. You talk too much, girl. Be silent. And I do. Nodding. Sighing, he moves back and opens the wardrobe. To take out a t-shirt from it. Strip, he says. And my eyes widen. Did I hurt him? Right? What the hell does he mean by it? Is it my punishment for running from him? Number. I won't, so what if he is my mate? Seeing me non-responsive to his request, he raises his perfectly shaped eyebrow at him, and I clench the comforter tightly to me. No, don't you? He just rolls his eyes and starts walking towards me, making my anxiety to rise. No, stop there, don't you dare. I scream at him, moving back to only have his hand clasp around my ankle. Don't use your stupid brain for once, and keep that useless trap shut. Another word, leaving your lips, and I will tape it. This makes me freeze, giving him an opportunity to remove the robe around my body and discard it in a corner. I was wearing a spaghetti under it, and as soon as the cold wind hits me, I feel goosebumps all over my body. He didn't look down at me, inappropriate. Instead, placing my thigh on his leg, he starts opening the bandages to change into new ones. Did you apply it on your other wounds? I merely nod, afraid of telling him the one place where my hand couldn't reach. The claw mark on my back. Once done, he gets up and sighs, to only slump down on the other side of the bed. I stay still, not knowing what to do. Should I ask him? My back hurts whenever I try to sleep. What if the cut is deep? The chances of an infection are high. Sir, I whisper slowly, scolding myself. Speak up, Thora. Even you yourself can't hear your own voice. How will he hear it? Sir, on getting no response, I turn around to see him laying on the bed. With eyes closed and arm behind his head, gulping, I decide to let it go. It won't be that bad. Plus he looks too peaceful to be disturbed. Nodding to myself, I decide to turn my back on him when I stop to gawk at his beautiful features. Normally, I don't have the guts to openly stare at him and admire his beauty. But now that he is asleep, I stare, taking in his perfectly shaped eyebrows, the Greek nose, and those kissable lips. I feel warmness rush inside me at just staring at him. And I lower my eyes. Stupid. Stop having those sinful thoughts. What is it? He suddenly speaks up, making my heart leap in my chest. His eyes still closed, and features calm and composed. I couldn't reach my back. Can you apply the ointment there? He didn't react, just opened his eyes and stared at me, making me lower my gaze at such a stupid request. It is fine. If you don't wish to, it is fine. Sorry for disturbing you. I will just sleep. Sorry. I turn my back on him, closing my eyes. Damn it, Thora. He is the werewolf king. What were you thinking? He hates you. Why do you forget it again and again? He wouldn't have cared if you would have died. Still, he came to save you. Be thankful for that of all. Lost in thoughts, I felt something cold on my back and I freeze. I was going to turn when a strong grip on my shoulder pushed me down to place my cheek on the pillow and my front of the bed. Stay still, came his voice as the coldness spreads around the wound. To neutralize, it is burning. I clenched my fist, but don't protest, letting him take care of it. He was taking more time than needed, and I was getting more anxious. And then I got my answers. I feel his finger trail, the whip marks on my back, and I freeze. Shut? I try to get up, to only have me pushed back down on the pillow. A low growl emerging from his lips, making my blood run cold. "Who the hell did this?" was all he asked, and I was lost at words, feeling the aura of the room changing, to make a shiver run down my spine. He doesn't stop. Tracing the marks with his fingers, he feels each and every one of them, as trails of spark follow. But I couldn't answer him, too scared of what he may do when he gets to know the truth. A sob breaks through my lips. And next I know, he growly near my ear, making me flinch. I asked who the fuck did it. Please. I stutter, afraid of his changed aura, to only have him coil his hand around my neck from behind and jerk me up. Ah! A shriek leaves my lips as his face lowers, to make his chin rest on my shoulder from behind, his subtle beard hitting my cheek and my grip on the bedsheets tightening. "When I ask you something, you answer me, girl," he whispers near my ear, his breath hitting my ear making goosebumps to appear on my skin. "Yes, sir," I merely say, gulping. He-ham-s, his nose moving down my jawline as he sniffs me. "Now, speak." His words loud and rude, making my heart leap in my chest, and his grip on my neck strong, but not strong enough to hurt. In my previous pack, I was an Omega if I didn't listen to orders. Just like others, I got punished. He doesn't say anything. I just hope he doesn't ask me more, or I don't want to lie to him regarding Landon. I feel his front hit my back, whispering again next to my ear. "What orders? Shite." What do I say? I can't tell him that I was punished because I refused to sleep with Landon. Why is he so persistent to know about it? Didn't he said he didn't cared about me? What orders? I again flinch and clench my fingers, closing my eyes. His other arm moving around my torso to flush my entire back to his, making sparks to light like firecrackers all along my back. I didn't cook food for the guests. Silence. There is a deadly silence in the room, except for his heavy breathing next to my ear. And next I know, he upturned us to make my back land on the mattress and his hands to pin my wrists. Above my head, a slight pain enters on the wound on my back, but I don't show it to him, closing my eyes tightly. Laying below him, you know, mate, I hate one kind of people more than anything in this world. I gulp, his breath hitting my lips as he whispers next. Lies. My eyes open in an instant to only find him already looking at me. Those orbs of gray, bordering in circles of black, making me wish for the heavens to save me. "Why?" he again says, and I knew I had to answer him this time. Lowering my gaze, I answer lowly. I refused to warm his bed. He takes in a deep breath, lowering his face in my neck. I thought he was disgusted of me instead. He again sniffs my scent to calm his beast, his lips touching the skin on my neck, making a wetness to emerge between my legs. What is happening to me? His name, he asks, placing his lips on the sensitive spot where he is supposed to mark, making me clench my fist and close my legs. I can't, please. He sucks on the spot harder, making my back to arch and a moan to leave my lips. I wish to run my hand through his hair, but he keeps them pinned on the bed above me, touching me, but not letting me to touch him. His name, Thora. He says my name for the first time, and I melted then and there. My wolf purrs in happiest and I blurt out before I could stop myself. Landon. He stills, leaving me in an instant. Lifting up his face from my neck, he leaves my wrists, to only place his palms on my head's either side. Now. It wasn't that difficult, was it? Too lost. In the foreign feelings going on inside me, I was too lost to answer. His eyes moved lower towards my legs, and I closed them instantly, placing my hand in front. He doesn't say anything, just smirks and gets up from the bed, taking out a shirt from the wardrobe and wearing it over his naked torso. I didn't had it in me to ask him where he was going, so I just stare, taking one last look at me, laying on the bed with my hands still above me and legs closed together. He speaks in his cold voice before leaving. Go to sleep. And he is gone, closing the door behind him. Sleep. How was I going to sleep with my wolf all horny and my body all bothered? Letting out a deep breath, I look up at the ceiling and smile to myself, my fingers trailing on the place on my neck where he just kissed, and I could help feel the after effects of his kiss. If this was a trailer of the mate bond, I was going to fight. I got to admit it. I am losing already. Next day, I stayed in his room, but surprisingly he didn't came, neither at night, nor during the day. Delicious food was offered to me by a maid. I haven't seen around in the maid quarters, and I relaxed the entire day. The wounds were better now, and I decided to get back to work the next day. The same maid told me that she has informed the alpha of my decision, and he has given his consent to it. Nodding at her, I returned to the maid quarters, to only stop at the threshold. She stayed there. Can you believe it? Alpha never allows a female in his room. I bet she seduced him. The girl acts so innocent and dumb, as if that double-faced bitch, another says, to be only joined by the third one. Look wise. I hate to admit, but Weirdo is not that bad. I am sure that is what the alpha saw in her. Bailey, their leader, smirks. Of course, what else is there in her? I am sure the alpha will be tired of her very soon. I clench my fist, so I was right. They were talking about me. I enter to only have them stop, to look at me in disgust. Not bothering them, I limp towards my bed to only have Bailey whisper behind me. He fucked her so hard that it seems she can't even walk properly. They chuckled, and I ignore them again, sitting on the worn-out mattress and cleaning it of the clothes they have thrown on it. Hey, Weirdo, how was the alpha in bed? I refuse to answer, continuing my work. They won't believe me anyways. See how she is ignoring us, as if she is going to be the next queen. I look up at them, giving them a warning, to only have them smirk. What? Who are you staring at, Weirdo? Clenching my fist, I take a deep breath. Relax, Thora. We need to rest. Don't bother them. But it seems they didn't had such intentions. Standing around me, they entrap me with arms folded and eyes narrowed. I said, lower your eyes. Bailey warns me to only make me stand up and harden my gaze on her. In hell will I submit to them now. They look at each other, smirking and exchanging looks. It seems the Weirdo has grown a backbone. Shouldn't we teach her, girls, who is the leader here? Leave me alone, I say, not in a mood to mess with them. To only have Bailey to grab my chin and pull it up. Too late, Weirdo, not unless you rub your nose on the floor. They snickered at their own joke, and I still continue to stare. It is enough now. I have suffered enough bullying in my previous pack. I won't endure it again. Not here, in the pack which I was supposed to lead as a Luna. It is fine if no one knows my identity and respects me. But I will not sit silently and endure their bullying. They silence down, when they realize I will not be boosting their ego more. Bailey grabs my hair next, tilting it back to make my scalp hurt. I refuse to show fear, still staring at her. Neil bit. She seethes, and before she knows, I smirk, grabbing her neck and pinning her back on the wall. The harsh push made her scream, and the laughter silences down as I whisper lowly, I will not. The rush of adrenaline in my veins made me forget my identity. Shit, I was just a human messing with 3 werewolves around me. How will I fight them? Not to forget I am already wounded. I have tried fighting in the past. I have voiced against the bullying. To only be hurt more and more. I have done everything I could. To even reach my deathbed once. But it seems I didn't learn my lesson back then. As history was repeating again, next I know, I was pushed back on the floor, and they surrounded me. I gulp, seeing their eye color changing. And that is when I did what any rational person would do. I ran. Yet again. Not because I was afraid, but because I was too weak to fight them. Too weak to fight my honor. Too weak to protect myself. Too weak to live. There are few things in this life which scare the shit out of me and leave me as a broken mess. And being chased and attacked is one of them. I have been chased countless times till now. From the times I tried running from Landon's pack, to running from rogues, and even today, running from these angry bitches. I can see the stitches on my leg opening. The blood from the wound flowing down my leg to leave a trail on the Italian tiles behind. But I don't stop. I just couldn't. My hands holding the wall as I struggled to move forward. Tears of pain brimming my eyes. Stop, you bitch. I hear them scream, and I look back. They looked ready for a kill. Their eyes still changing color. Damn man, why do I have to make enemies wherever I go? Too lost in looking behind me. I was unaware of the group of men coming towards us in front, dressed in format, discussing about pack business. The second I looked in front, my eyes widen as I see the one in the center, just few meters away from me. His eyes widen. And next I know, my frail body landed on him as we crash. I expected us to fall behind under the force of the crash, but instead he stands like a wall. His arms coils around my waist and holds me up, stopping me from falling. Startled, I look up to see his calm blue eyes already staring back me. His jaw hardened, an aura powerful. Pushing him back, I was going to stumble back when he holds my arm tightly, balancing me. Careful, he said, and our eyes connect again. The man was beautiful, and I could help feel shy of our awkward encounter. Beta, Jason, I hear Bailey and others following behind me exclaim. Lowering their heads, they bow and my heart thuds in my chest. Beta. Oh God, I am dead now. I lower my gaze, moving my hands behind me back, and bow like others. Feeling a heat to rise in my neck and above as his state still lingers on me. What is the meaning of this? He asks lowly, dismissing the 2 men behind him. They leave immediately after nodding. Bailey and others exchange a look of horror, and I just clench my dress tightly, not daring to look up. Beta Jason, actually. This girl here refuses to do her work. She, the head mistress, said to punish her. But she ran from there. Lies. All lies. Bitches in every true sense. I am sure I will be punished for this now. He doesn't say anything, letting the mysterious aura around him to envelope us, his eyes staring at the trail of blood, to follow it, and stop at my leg, the white bandage around my thigh, colored in the color of blood. Dismiss, he orders, and I take in a deep breath. The bitches scurry away, leaving me to limp behind me. I had only taken one step when his voice calls behind, making me freeze. Not you. I gulp, turning around, and Bailey and others chuckle, running away, leaving me alone with the beta. I still refuse to meet his gaze, to only have his formal shoes, cone, in my vision, on the floor. His tone changing suddenly, as he asks me politely, "What is your name?" "Thursday." "Thora," I say, to only have him step closer to me. "You are losing too much blood. You need to go to the infirmary. Number." "I am fine, ... It is nothing." He places his finger on my chin, tilting it up. Our eyes met, and I swear I heard him whisper lowly, "Beautiful." Blood rushes to my cheek, and he smiles, a beautiful dimple adoring his cheeks. "You are wounded badly. Come, let's go," he says adamantly, and I again nod. Not willing to argue, he walks and I again struggle, to only have him stop and look back at me. He sees me struggling, and next I know, he comes towards me and picks me up in his arms. A gasp leaves my lips as I feel his strong arms holding me. "Please, you shouldn't. I can walk," I say, but he doesn't bothers my complaints. Walking towards the infirmary, he kicks the door open and places me on the bed. "Beta, what a serp." The doctor stops as he looks at me. "Look at her wound. It is not healing." The doctor rushes to me and asks me to lay down. I do reluctantly, feeling awkward as he lifts up my skirt to attend to my thigh. He sighs before replying, "Thankfully the stitches are intact. You need to rest, girl. What were you thinking straining it?" The doctor scolds me, and I mutter a low, "Sorry." He again sighs, cleaning it and reapplying the bandages, while the beta stands in a corner with arms folded in front of him. Once done, the doctor asks me to rest, and I nod. The beta moves forward and again picks me up. "Where is your room?" he asks, and I refuse to answer. They won't let me enter. Bailey and others will again bully me. I can't go back there. I don't want to go back there. His blue eyes look at me in concern, and adjusting me in his arms, he proceeds outside. What a fool! I thought he will be considerate enough to not throw me back in a room filled with those bitches. Oh God, they will hurt me more. What do I do? My thoughts are interrupted when he takes a left turn and starts climbing up the stairs. This is not the way to the servant quarters. Where is he taking me? Panic settles in, and I thrash in his arms, to only have him look down at me in frustration. "Where? This is not the way." "I know," was all he said, and I gulp, biting my lips, stopping myself from saying anything. Luckily, there was no one here as he walks through a luxury hallway. It was one floor below my mate's room. Opening a door, he enters a room which was too clean to be a boy's room. However, the stuff placed in it told me that it was occupation by someone. Where am I? I ask, to only have him place me down on his bed gently, adjusting the pillow below my head. My room. I get up immediately. He brought me to his room. What about his mate? Or anyone else seeing us here? With my mate it is different, but being in the room of a stranger, it is ... It is wrong. And my wolf agrees with me, removing the comforter he placed on me. I tried getting up to be only stopped by him. "I need to leave. I can't be here," placing his hands on my shoulder. He makes me lay back. Just stay still. It is fine. You are safe here. Number. You don't understand. If anyone sees us here, still disregarding my fears, he shuts me up by placing his finger on my lips, my eyes widening. At our contact, his blue orbs look straight at me, and I go still for a second. His eyes, they are so beautiful. My elbows that held up my weights moved and I fall back on the mattress. With him on top of me, his front hits my chest, and his face was only inches away from me, his breath feeling foreign on my lips. No. No. This is so wrong. I have a mate. What am I doing? Why am I committing this sin? I try say through his finger sealing my lips, to only have realization flood in his eyes. Looking down in embarrassment, he whispers in a hurry, I am so sorry. I didn't realize. He was going to move back when suddenly, the door is slammed open, and a voice enters that I haven't heard in a while. Jason, how many times do I have to tell? His words get lost as he looks up at the scene from the paper in his hands, his beautiful gray eyes hardening as they move from Jason to stop at me, to finally still at his finger that touched my lips and the lack of space between our chests. I see the paper crumbling in his clenched fists. I see the color of his eyes changing. I see the look of betrayal, again, flash in his eyes. But before I could open my mouth and explain him something, he looks up at Jason with his ice-cold eyes and seethes, finish your shy and meet me in my office. Jason moves back from me to stand up and nod at him. His aura, nothing compared to Vulcan's deadly one. Yes, Alpha, but where? He doesn't let him complete. Showing him his hand, he looks at me from top to bottom one last time with disgust. And from next time. When keep your whores out of my pack house. Tears sting my eyes as I look at his hatred-filled eyes ignoring me. He storms outside, slamming the door shut after him. Sir, I scream, limping after him, trying to make him to stop. Sir, please. My cry a desperate plea, as he still continues to walk towards his office, hands clenched in fists and strides long and hurried. Sir, please at least, listen to M. A sharp pain hits my leg and I fall down. A tear leaving my eyes as I see the wound through my hazy vision. The bandages have again turned red, getting soaked in my blood. Thora, damn it. Are you stupid? Why are you running like that? Jason says, running after me, holding my leg and examining it, while my eyes remain fixed at only one person. He has stopped now, turning around to look at me with hardened eyes, not a single trace of concern evident in them. Please, I lowly whisper, to only have him move his stare from my eyes to my leg. To narrow it, Jason, not bothering with me anymore. He clenches his jaw and turns his back on me, entering his office and slamming the door shut after him. He doesn't care, Thora. Not even a bit. Not until you are dying. He wouldn't care. Closing my eyes, I hold onto my leg tightly. The physical pain, nothing compared to the emotional one he just gave me. Hey, listen to me. Don't cry, Jason says, making me shift my focus to him. I will ask him regarding your stay. The Alpha and me are more of a friends. He will understand it. More tears leave my eyes. They are friends. It is worse then. Trust me, Thora. You can stay. Come, let's take you back to my room. I holds his arm, stopping him from picking me up. I can't Can you drop me back in the maid quarters? He sighs, looking at me disbelief, but still nods. Knowing it was no use arguing, fine. Come, let's go. And that is when he takes me back to my room, which was thankfully empty. The others were not here, busy with their chores. Call me if you need something. Okay, I nod, giving him a small smile. He was going to leave when I call after him. Beta Jason. Yes? He asks, stopping at the threshold, to only look back at me. Thank you. He just nods, smiling back and leaving from there, while I lay back on the bed, drifting off to sleep almost instantly, but not before feeling goosebumps on my skin, thinking of those gray eyes staring at me, and when Vulcan, Pav, 2 days. Fucking 2 days. I have spent finishing that Bastal Landon and eliminating his pack, thinking to only return back to my pack and hold her again in my embrace, telling her she is safe. But imagine my surprise when I see her under my best friend instead, his fingers placed on her lips, his chest touching her breasts. And those eyes, those beautiful eyes that should only look at me, were staring at him in admiration. Damn it! I punched the wall nearby, closing my eyes, trying to calm myself. Alpha, may I enter? I hear Jason's voice and I control my anger immediately, covering my feature with that usual cold facade. Yes. He walks in casually, munching on something that he grabbed from the kitchen. Settling himself on the sofa in front, he places his foot on it and asks me casually, "You called me." My gaze hardens at his foot placed on my sofa, making him rolls his eyes. He may be my best friend, but only after pack hours, removing his legs from the sofa and placing them down. He raises his hands in surrender. Fine. No need to go alpha on me now. I merely nod, offering him the papers that I received the other day. His eyes scan over them, and he rubs his neck in awkwardness. Is this professionalism, Jason? 5 days. I gave you 5 days to deal with the upsurge in the Eastern Province, and see what happened now. I know, Alpha. I am sorry, A sorry won't do, damn it. An entire pack was raided by those rogues. People were killed. Jason lowers his eyes, knowing he was at fault. I go for 2 days, and you can't manage the Shia behind. I say, turning my back on him, and looking outside the window. My mate scent lingered on him, making my wolf crazy. I am sorry. I will compensate the members for the loss and get to hunt these rogues immediately. You better do it. He nods, turning around to leave when I stop him. My question, surprising him. Have you fucked the girl you were with earlier? His mouth opens and closes in surprise while I look at him over my shoulder. Who? I harden my gaze and the jerk opens his mouth in a O. Suddenly remembering her. Oh, Thora. My stare was enough to make him continue. I just met her. I know you admire my flirting abilities, Alet, but even a playboy needs some time to convince a girl and get in her pan. I show him my hand, asking him to shut his trap, and he does, biting his lip and giving me his infamous smirk. What? A jerk. Stay away from her. I don't need my beta to associate with the maids now, but Vulcan, she is damn hot. I said, no, Jason, stay the fuck away from her. He sighs to suddenly look up at me with that twinkle in his eyes, rushing towards me like an excited kid. Wait a minute. Could it be that the Vulcan is attracted to a girl? Is it why you are stopping me to associate with her? I give him my cold stare and arrange the papers on my table. Ignoring him, now that I remember, Isn't she the Omega you brought from another pack few days back? Fuck, bro. You actually like her. Sighing. I look up at him in irritation. Are you done? Come on, Vulcan. Tell me, I am your best friend. I thought you said you won't be associated with a girl unless she is your mate. Wait a minute. Is she your mate? He almost screams in surprise, and I lean back on the chair. Looking up at him, get out, Jason. I have work to do. But who said he is going to drop it anytime soon? Pulling a chair, the bastard instead gets seated, waiting for the gossip like a teen girl in high school. Yes, she is. Holy shite, you asshole. Why didn't you tell me? Damn, it calls for a celebration. We have finally found our Luna. Now I get it why I felt so protective of her. Stop right there, Jason. I cannot accept her. All the excitement drains from his face, like he has been hit by an avalanche. But why? She is perfect. There is silence for few minutes. When I finally answer him, she is defiled, and he looks at me with widened eyes, not believing me. Not only that, the pack members of her previous pack called her a slood. She was Landon's bed warmer Jason. I cannot accept a girl like her as my mate, and if this is not enough of a reason, she is a human. She can't even protect herself, let alone leading this pack and serving as the Luna. There is silence as Jason ponders over the newfound information. Is this why you went to eliminate Landon's pack out of the blue? Jason sighs, placing his hand on my shoulders. I am sorry, man. I didn't know, but maybe you can give her a chance. To me, she looked too innocent. Have you asked her about it? I nod. I did, and she agreed. Not even ashamed of the sins she has committed. That is bad. Are you sure of moving forward then? The ball is in 2 days, and once your queen is selected and marked, you know what will happen to her. It was nothing new. If a male marks someone other than his mate, the old mate immediately stands rejected. She has to bear the pain of rejection, and people say it is the worst pain in the world. Every time the male sleeps with his chosen, the rejected mate suffers worse than death until the day when she can't take it, until the day she accepts the rejection, and that day onwards. The bond between them stands severed forever, and she is free to live on her own terms. Yes, I know. The earlier she accepts the rejection, the better. And what if she doesn't? Vulcan chuckles at this. It is never heard of. They always accept it. Why won't they accept it? Why won't she reject him? He bets she will reject him the first day after he gets his queen. She will be happy to be relieved of him and be free. She will Jason. They all do. Jason shakes his head and turns around to leave. His last words making my heart to beat rapidly in my chest. I hope she does, or you know what happens to those who don't. Huh, Wace. The prophesy. It says, if they don't accept the rejection, they start going crazy. They lose their sanity. And finally, they are summoned to be killed. The hopeless souls are summoned to the dark forest. And there, they surrender their souls to the strongest wolf known to exist. They sacrifice themselves to the death wolf.